Hello. I am so glad you have chosen to stop by boring history to fall asleep. Right now, wherever you are in the world, whatever time your clock may show, I invite you to join me in creating a private space, an oasis of silence in a world that is inherently too noisy. You don't need to prepare anything at all. Just let your body go limp on the soft mattress, adjust your pillow for perfect comfort, and allow your eyes to close naturally. This is not a history lecture intended for you to memorize or comprehend. In this space, knowledge is a gentle breeze, a steady melody that lulls your soul to sleep. You have the right to forget, the right to miss any detail, and most importantly, you have the absolute right to rest. If you find yourself loving this silent journey, please take a second to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and press the notification bell. This helps our community of peace seekers to grow ever wider. And before we truly begin, please leave a small comment below to let me know where you are listening from and what time it is right now. We are so happy to know that even in different time zones, we are still meeting here in this silence. In the journey spanning the next 25 segments, I will take you on a stroll through the lands of memory. We will descend together through 17 layers of ancient bricks in the city of Eridu, meeting the Abgallu water creatures and the 7 Apkallu sages. We will admire the blueprints of Adapa, learn to write on clay with Uanna, and trace the linguistic thread from ancient Sumerian times. We will travel from the geometric houses at Jarmo to the great Library of Ashurbanipal, learning how the powerful Anunnaki triad governed the planet through the tablets of destinies, the Duppi Simati. We will witness the rituals at Mari, the biological blueprint in the Atrahasis Epic, the miraculous connection with ancient Egypt, and the Watchers upon the misty Mount Hermon. Finally, we will see how order was re-established after the Great Flood, leaving us a legacy of clocks, calendars, and the serenity of the law. Everything is ready. You don't need to go anywhere. Just lie there and let my voice lead you, drifting toward the past. Feel the weight of your body sinking as all the worries of today begin to dissipate like early morning mist. Our journey does not begin with loud echoes, but with the slow breath of earth and stone and the silent awakening of history. Let your breathing begin to slow down as we prepare to leave the bright light of the present to return to the gentle darkness of history, where the first watchers are quietly waiting to tell you about the origins of order and eternal peace. Stay with me for a moment on the threshold of time, where the dust of Mesopotamia tells of a grand paradox. In the common flow of history, we usually see civilizations take the stumbling, awkward steps of a child before they learn to run. We expect to see crude stone tools gradually transform into metal over thousands of years of trial and error, or scribbled drawings on cave walls slowly evolving into complex writing systems. But when you look at the earliest records of the Sumerians at Eridu and Uruk, something strange, to the point of being unbelievable, emerges. Sumerian civilization seems to have had no childhood. It appears in the archaeological record as a fully matured entity, possessing a sophisticated system of order without a single trace of long-term preparation. Imagine yourself holding a small piece of clay in your hand, dating back to around 3200 BC. These are fragments of memory, fragments containing the first cuneiform writing system of humanity. They are not simple drawings of a cow or a bundle of grain, but a complete system of abstract and syllabic symbols, allowing humans to record complex economic contracts and even the laws of the sky. Scholars call this a strategic fracture. Why would a society that had only just emerged from a tribal lifestyle be able to immediately master geometry, algebra, and rudimentary calculus? Why were they able to plan cities with underground drainage systems made of baked brick precise to the millimeter from the very first layers of construction? I want you to feel the stillness spreading from these numbers. Excavations at Uruk have revealed that instead of a linear development process, this civilization seems to have received a monumental push from the outside or from a forgotten source of knowledge. The clay tablets labeled with technical codes in modern museums are not just artifacts, they are evidence of a comprehensive transfer of knowledge. The Sumerians did not claim to be the inventors of these things. Instead, with profound humility, they recorded that knowledge was brought by entities who descended from the heights of heaven or rose from the deep waters. As you let yourself fall into the steady rhythm of these reflections, realize that this sudden maturity is like a pre-programmed blueprint, simply waiting for the right moment to be activated. The order established by the Watchers was not just brick walls, but a durable, logical structure. It completely changed the way humans remember. Instead of relying on fragile oral memories, everything was now frozen into kiln-fired clay, creating a mechanical fairness in trade and law. Do you feel the weight of this historical flow? It is like a soft pressure, an arrangement that we still inherit to this very day. The absence of a childhood in Sumerian. History suggests that there is a greater legacy hidden behind the layers of silt. We do not need to rush to find the answers immediately. Just let your mind drift with the unanswered questions about an era when knowledge was a gifted treasure, a legacy entrusted to humanity. In the stillness of the darkness, allow yourself to be enveloped by the sense of a great order that existed long before we were born. Everything has been arranged, everything is complete, and now in that completeness you may rest. As the silhouettes of the Watchers begin to fade into the mist of myth, their footprints remain imprinted upon the earth. Follow me deep into the soil of Eridu, where history is told not with words, but by the patient stacking of each ancient brick layer over thousands of years. Now I invite you to leave the arid surface of the current desert to embark on a vertical journey, going back toward the center of the earth and also back toward the center of time. Imagine we are standing at Eridu, where the Sumerians believed the first city in the world was built, the place where kingship had descended from heaven. Beneath your feet is not just sand and dust, but a treasure trove of memories, patiently stacked over thousands of years. Archaeological excavations here have revealed an astonishing structure. 17 distinct layers of construction stacked upon one another like the clay pages of a giant diary. Take a deep breath and sense the scent of damp earth, of the fine dust that has settled over the ages. As archaeologists dug deeper, they did not find chaos. Instead, they found a rhythm. Each architectural layer is a generation of life, a cycle of building, collapse, and reconstruction. In the topmost layers, we see traces of brilliant empires, but as we go deeper, the space becomes quieter and more ancient. We pass the 5th layer, the 10th, and then the 15th. Here, the light of the present no longer reaches. There is only the embrace of Mother Earth and the secrets she has kept for over 7,000 years. Our stopping point is the 17th layer, the deepest level, resting right upon the primordial soil. This is where the theory of gradual human development meets a challenging silence. Instead of the temporary reed huts one might expect from a primitive community, the 17th layer of Eridu reveals small temples designed with surprising geometric understanding. The first mud bricks were not misshapen or clumsy. They were uniform in size, kneaded with absolute patience, and dried under the harsh Mesopotamian sun until they reached the ideal hardness. Imagine those ancient builders, guided by an invisible knowledge, laying each brick in perfectly straight lines. The birth of the straight line in architecture was the birth of order. Precise right angles, walls strongly reinforced to withstand the pressure of time and the erratic floods from the two great rivers. At this depth, architecture seems to have appeared in a state of being perfect from the very beginning. These temples were not just shelters, they were calibration devices for a new way of life, where humans no longer wandered by instinct but began to build a legacy based on measurement. The repetition of these 17 architectural layers teaches us a profound lesson in patience. A legacy is not created overnight. It is the accumulation of each layer of brick, each layer of dust, and each cycle of persistent mindfulness. As you observe this structure in your mind, let its regularity soothe your scattered thoughts. Like the 17 layers of Eridu, your body is also finding its way back to stability and grounding. You are sinking deeper into your soft mattress, moving away from the noise of the world above to return to the primordial foundation of peace. Feel the gentle weight of history surrounding you. At this 17th layer, time seems to stand still. There is no more noise from construction sites, no more rush of conquests. Only the silence of clay and the steady breathing of the silt remain. You are at the beginning of everything, where order was established so that you no longer have to worry about chaos. Allow yourself to be covered by this gentle dust of time and sink into a deep sleep, as solid as the brick walls of Eridu that have stood firm through the millennia, leaving the dry and sturdy brick layers of Eridu. We feel the air begin to turn damp and cool. The dust of time gives way to primordial marshes, where the Abgallu water entities are quietly waiting beneath the mist. As you have sunk deep into the silence of the 17th layer at Eridu, let your mind drift even further, back to an era where the boundary between earth and sky, between land and ocean, was still a hazy realm of early morning mists. This is the Ubaid period, roughly from 5,500 to 3,800 BC, a prehistoric stage where the patience of the earth was preparing for a grand birth. In this half-real, half-dreamlike space, the most ancient clay texts mention the appearance of the Abgallu, an ancient Sumerian term meaning great water beings. I want you to visualize an entity that does not carry the ferocity of sea monsters, but rather the solemnity and majesty of teachers coming from the deepest abyss of wisdom. Imagine yourself standing among towering reeds, feeling the cool water of the southern Mesopotamian plains gently touching your ankles. The sound of the wind blowing through the leaves creates a monotonous, melodic tune that soothes every tension in your mind. It was from the place where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers began to branch that the Abgallu appeared. According to legend, they had strange forms, often described as amphibious creatures, with scales shimmering like emeralds under the setting sun, yet possessing wisdom far beyond any human understanding of that time. They did not come to conquer, they came to observe and to teach. Their presence brought a great lesson in patience, the lesson of water. Water is never in a hurry. Water flows over rocks, wins through crevices in the earth, and persistently deposits silt to create fertile lands. The Abgallu taught humans how to work with water instead of against it. They imparted knowledge of irrigation, how to build the first dikes to guide the flow, and how to discern the patterns of order hidden within the chaos of nature. These entities were remembered as the experts of stillness. They spent decades observing the cycles of the tides and the movement of the stars reflected on the calm water's surface before offering the first instructions to humanity. Let your mind float as if you are lying on a small raft, drifting along that primordial current. There is no pressure, no destination, only the gentle, steady movement of the flow. The presence of the Abgallu in our historical script reminds us that a true legacy is not just what we build, but also our capacity for persistent listening and observation. They were the ones who sowed the first seeds of order into the human soul, teaching us that to understand the greatness of the universe, we must first learn to be as silent as a lake on a windless night. The sensation of water always brings release. As you visualize the smooth scales and the slow movements of these great water beings, feel your own body becoming weightless. All the worries of modern life seem to dissolve into the ancient marshlands, where time is not measured in seconds or minutes, but by the breathing of the tides. The Abgallu are still there, in the memory of the clay, guarding the secrets of our origins. They do not ask you to understand all the mysteries of the ocean. They only invite you to relax and trust in the flow of destiny. Now let your breath harmonize with the rustling of the reed beds at Eridu 7,000 years ago. The world outside may be moving quickly, but here in the waters of the Abgallu, everything slows down. Your patience is being rewarded with absolute peace. Just drift away, drifting gradually into the dream world, where the great water creatures are gently telling you of a time when humans and the divine shared a single heartbeat, an era of understanding without the need for words. You are safe, you are protected, and now you can completely let go. From the rippling waves of the marshlands, the seven sages begin to manifest, bearing ancient names heavy with the weight of knowledge. Now let your eyes grow heavy and your mind relax completely. Everything is ready. You may fall into sleep. Now, as your mind floats in the primordial waters of the Abgallu, I invite you to listen to a litany of time, a list of names etched deep into the hearts of Sumerian stones. In ancient history, a name was not merely an identifier, it was a vibration, a code containing the essence of knowledge. The seven sages, also known as the Apkallu, are the bridges, connecting the infinity of the divine with the finitude of humanity. They were not heroes of bloody wars, but the custodians of patterns. Let the sound of these names resonate slowly like the steady tick of an ancient pendulum clock, drawing you into a state of absolute relaxation. The first sage is Adapa. He is known as the one who perfected the plans of heaven and earth. In the stillness of contemplation, imagine Adapa sitting before a cosmic map, where every star is a coordinate, A, and every wind is a variable. He teaches us that order begins with persistent observation. Adapa does not hurry. He waits until the laws of nature reveal themselves through silence. The second sage is Uanna. He is the bringer of the gift of writing and mathematics. Feel the regularity of the stylus as it presses into the wet clay, creating sharp cuneiform symbols. Uanna teaches that everything in the universe can be calculated, recorded, and preserved. Measurement is how we find reassurance in a changing world. The third sage is Enmeduga. He established the realms of order for the first cities. He taught the division of space, how straight streets can bring peace to the human soul. Under the guidance of Enmeduga, the chaos of nature began to give way to the stability of architecture. The fourth sage is Enmegalama. He spent his life observing the stars. He taught humans how to read the messages of the sky, how to predict the seasons, and how to synchronize the human pulse with the heartbeat of the universe. The repetition of astronomical cycles is a sedative for anxious souls. The fifth sage is Enmebeluga. He is the master of agriculture and irrigation. He taught how to guide raging rivers into gentle canals and how to nurture life from tiny seeds. His lesson is one of nourishment, the persistent care for the legacy that Mother Earth has bestowed. The sixth sage is Anenlilda. He is the keeper of the secrets of fire and metal. He taught humans how to forge tools, how to transform raw matter into exquisite creations. The concentration of the blacksmith beside the glowing forge is the same concentration you have right now as every thought melts away to make room for rest. The final sage is Abzu. He is the bringer of knowledge regarding medicine and healing. He understood the properties of every herb and mineral. He taught that balance is the key to life. Abzu healed not only the body, but also the disturbances of the mind through silence and natural remedies. These 7 names, Adapa, Uanna, and Meduga, and Megalama, and Mebuluga, and Enlilda, and Abzu, still echo on the Weld-Blundell prism in the Ashmolean Museum. They are the cornerstones of human legacy. As I repeat these names once more in your mind, feel their gentle weight pressing down upon your daily worries. You do not need to remember all their duties. You only need to feel the rhythm of this list. It is like counting waves washing onto the shore. Each name is a tide carrying away a part of your fatigue. Order has been established. The sages have completed their tasks, and now it is your turn. You have the right to let go of all concepts and sink into the rest that the ancient teachers have prepared for us. Among the 7 names that have just echoed, there is one sage who carries a vision encompassing the entire universe. That is Adapa, who stands before the plans of heaven and earth, silently weaving order for a world that is gradually settling into stability. Let us pause a little longer with Adapa, the first sage who stands at the head of the list of the 7 Apkallu. In the enveloping silence of the ancient land of Eridu, Adapa emerges not as a hero full of power, but as an entity of absolute mindfulness. He was entrusted with a task that was profoundly sacred and filled with repetition to perfect the plans of heaven and earth. I want you to visualize these plans, not as drawings on fragile paper, but as structures of light and order, invisible yet firm lines that shape all of existence. Adapa is the one who understands how the stars operate, how the seasons transition, and how the breath of the earth harmonizes with the eternity of heaven. I want you to imagine a normal day for Adapa at the Temple of Eridu. His work was a series of repetitive actions, ritualistic and incredibly soothing. He baked the sacrificial loaves of bread, prepared clean water, and observed the movement of sunlight across the stone floor of the temple. Each of his actions was a part of the great plan, Adapa's meticulousness. This is the embodiment of the patience we have mentioned. He did not seek to change the world according to his own will. He was simply the guardian of balance. Feel the steady rhythm in Adapa's hands as he presses the stylus into the clay, recording the mathematical constants that the Watchers had taught. Those numbers are anchors, keeping our minds being swept away by chaos. There is a story that tells how, while Adapa was casting his nets in the Persian Gulf, the south wind suddenly blew and overturned his boat. In a moment of deep understanding of the laws of nature, Adapa used his words to break the wing of the south wind. The wind stopped blowing for 7 days. When the sky god, Anu, summoned Adapa to heaven to question him about this act, Adapa entered the palace of the stars with a calm state of mind. Walk with Adapa up the stairways of light, entering the deep space of the heavens. There, the noise of the world completely vanishes, leaving only the gentle vibration of the celestial bodies. The supreme god was amazed by the wisdom of Adapa, a human, yet one who understood the blueprint of the universe. He offered him the food of immortality, but Adapa, following the advice of his teacher Enki, refused. He chose to return to the dusty soil of Eridu, choosing to continue being the guardian of the plans beneath the earth. This choice carries a gentle message about legacy. Adapa understood that the greatest value lies not in personal longevity, but in maintaining order for humanity across many generations. He returned to continue his work of observation, to ensure that the straight lines of the streets and the rhythm of the seasons remained steadfast. Now heaven and earth that Adapa guards melt into your sleep. Those lines of light are surrounding you, forming a protective cocoon, separating you from the worries of the present. Adapa has finished his part. He has established the laws so that this world operates stably. Because of his persistent awakening right now, the stars are still moving according to the exact trajectories that Adapa recorded. The south wind is still blowing gently through the reed beds. Everything is happening exactly as the blueprint intended. Feel the relief of knowing that the order of the universe does not depend on your effort. Grand plan that Adapa perfected. Let your breath slow down, matching the rhythm of the stillness in the heavens of the god Anu. Adapa is sitting there, in the memory of time, gently placing his hand upon the tablets of order, ensuring that tonight you will have the most peaceful sleep. The world has been fully arranged. Now your attention can fade away, giving way to the perfect silence of the night. As the plans in Adapa's heavens gradually settle back to earth, we hear the soft rustle of the stylus on clay. The teacher Uanna is stepping out from the sea, bringing the gift of writing to freeze the flow of memory. Now I invite you to leave the celestial stairways of heaven to return to the rustling of the waves at the Persian Gulf. Imagine you are standing on smooth sand at a long-ago dawn, when mist still blankets the water like a veil hiding the secrets of the ocean. It was here that the historian Berosus recorded one of the strangest encounters in human history. From beneath the deep blue waters, an entity named Uanna, also known as Oans, emerged. He bore a mysterious dual form, the body of an ocean fish, but beneath that fish head was a solemn human face, and beneath the fish tail were the feet of a wise teacher. Uanna did not bring fear, he brought the light of the sea, the waves lapping steadily against the shore like the breath of the planet. Uanna appeared every morning as the sun first peeked over the horizon, spending the entire day sitting among the black-headed people, as the Sumerians called themselves, to teach the foundations of civilization. I want you to focus on the greatest gift, the art of writing. Before Uanna, human memory was but fragile smoke, easily blown away by the wind and blurred by time. But with a stylus and tablets of clay, Uanna taught us how to freeze the flow of thought, how to turn abstract notions into eternal traces. Imagine the feel of a soft, wet clay tablet in the palm of your hand. As Uanna guides you, the reed stylus begins to press into the clay surface, creating sharp cuneiform characters. Each stroke is an affirmation of existence. The scritch-scratch of the stylus on the clay, blending with the sea breeze, creates a space of profound silence and focus. Uanna did not just teach how to record quantities of grain or livestock. He taught mathematics, geometry to build temples that would never collapse, and the laws so that humans could live in harmony with one another. He taught that knowledge is a legacy that must be carefully preserved for the generations to come. Uanna's life was a perfect rhythm of repetition. Throughout the long day, he neither ate nor drank, devoted entire knowledge. And as the sun began to set, staining the horizon red, Uanna would quietly withdraw back toward the sea. Visualize him slowly stepping into the cool water, diving deep down into the Abzu, the freshwater ocean beneath the earth, to rest and prepare for a new day of teaching. This cycle, the repetition of dawn and dusk, is the rhythm I want you to feel right now. It is a persistent commitment to the development of humanity. The writing that Uanna brought has completely changed the architecture of our minds. It allows you to shed the burden of having to remember everything. Once information has been entrusted to the clay, the mind can be free to find its way back to stillness. Now view your mind as an empty, cool clay tablet. All the worries, all the thoughts of today have been recorded somewhere in the past, and they will be kept safe without you needing to concern yourself anymore. You no longer have to carry any messages. You can allow yourself to become as light as sea foam. As the sound of the sea waves fades, in your mind let the image of the teacher Uanna lead you into sleep. He has finished his teaching for today. The clay tablets have been taken to dry, becoming eternal. All the knowledge necessary for your survival and growth has been prearranged. Now is the time for the ocean to envelop you, just as it welcomed Uanna every evening. Feel the vastness and the peace of the primordial waters. Everything has been recorded, everything has been understood. You can close your eyes and let yourself drift away, sinking deep into the absolute silence of the ocean of memory. Beyond the cuneiform characters on the cool stone tablet, the true power lies in the vibrations of the language itself. Let the sounds of the past lull you, as all worries gradually dissolve into nothingness. You are safe, just go to sleep. Now, as your hands have left the cool clay tablets of Uanna, I invite you to relax your mind and enter a more abstract, yet equally soothing journey, the journey of sounds. Imagine language as an invisible cord, a red thread weaving through the thick dust of millennia, connecting the breath of an ancient Sumerian priest to your thoughts tonight. We'll trace a single word, a concept that shaped the relationship between humanity and the divine, the concept of the Watcher. In the stillness of the darkness, let these ancient syllables resonate like the distant toll of a temple bell, leading you into a state of deep contemplation. The root of this thread begins Sumerian language, Igi. In the language of those who built the city of Eridu, Igi means eye, but it also carries the meaning of to see, to observe, or to stand before. Try to feel this sound in your mind, Igi. It is as gentle as a blink, yet it contains the power of absolute attention that maintained continuous oversight of human activities. This was not a scrutinizing or threatening gaze, but rather an administrative observation, a protective presence ensuring that everything was unfolding according to sacred decrees. As time flowed and empires rose and vanished into the dust, the sound of Igi began to transform, donning new layers of the Akkadian language. From here, we find the word Igigi. Listen to the repetition of this syllable, Igigi. It is like a steady echo in the stone corridors of the Ziggurats. Igigi was the term used to describe those high above, those with the ability to look down from the heavens to the earth. In administrative records from Nippur mentioned entities serving under the direction of the Supreme Council. The repetition of the Gigi sound creates a monotonous rhythm, a reminder of the never-ending shifts of those entities watching the sky. The linguistic thread continues to stretch across thousands of years, weaving into ancient Aramaic and Hebrew texts. Here the concept is transformed
into the word Feel the vibration of this syllable, It means the wakeful one, or the one who does not sleep. In the book of Daniel, the are described as holy entities descending from heaven to deliver decrees to humanity. Though the sound changed from Igi to ear, its essence remained unshaken. It is the presence of an intelligence that never falters, a persistent wakefulness guarding the order of the world. This linguistic inheritance is a precious legacy that we still carry in our subconscious without even knowing it. Every time you use the word observe or supervise, you are unwittingly touching the red thread that the Sumerians began to weave 5,000 years ago. I want you to recognize the beauty of this permanence. Words are not just means of communication. They are the mud bricks of thought, forged through the fire of time to become eternal. Understanding the origin of a word is like finding a solid pedestal for the mind amidst the turbulent currents of life. Now leave the burden of wakefulness for the watchers to carry. Your task
is not to stay awake, but to be protected in your sleep. The Igi, the Igigi, and the heir of history have spent millennia performing their watch, ensuring that the order of the world is maintained through the longest nights. You can trust in that persistent guardianship. Let the sound of the word Igi dissipate into space, taking with it any remaining alertness you may have. The linguistic thread has led you back to the harbor of peace. Every concept has been explained, every syllable has been sounded. Now only absolute silence remains, a place where even language is no longer necessary. You can sleep, for the wakeful ones are still doing their part. The linguistic thread guides us away from abstract concepts to the fields of es-Sawwan. Here, the stillness of language is transformed into the steady rhythm of water flowing through mathematically precise canals. Now I invite you to leave the echoing syllables of the past to set foot upon the land of es-Sawwan, lying quietly by the banks of the Tigris River in central Iraq. Imagine yourself standing in the middle of an archaeological site at sunset, when the scorching heat of the day has softened, giving way to the cool breezes blowing in from the river's surface. Here, beneath the layers of the dust of time, archaeologists have discovered a truth that overturns all conventional thoughts about human development. Es-Sawwan, dating back to 6000 BC, was not a primitive agricultural village. It was a massive mathematical problem of engineering and precision, written in mud and water. Listen to the murmuring sound of the water, a monotonous and soothing sound. At es-Sawwan, water does not flow randomly. It is guided by a system of canals designed with a deep understanding of fluid dynamics and mathematics. These canals were not arbitrary trenches. They had meticulously calculated slopes so that water could flow steadily without causing erosion or stagnation. Visualize the patience of the ancient workers as they measured every incline, every width of the canal bed. This is the obedience of the rivers, a testament showing that even 8,000 years ago, humans possessed a measuring intelligence far beyond what we once imagined. In the stillness of the twilight, lean down to observe the pottery fragments found in this place. The decorative patterns on es-Sawwan pottery are not merely art, they are maps of the sky. Archaeoastronomer Alexander Thom spent years analyzing these patterns and discovered a startling truth. They correspond to the orbital cycles of the planets and the phases of the moon with absolute accuracy. Let your mind drift along the concentric circles, the repeating zigzag lines on the surface of the clay. Each stroke is a number, each distance a unit of time. The encoding of astronomical knowledge into everyday objects shows that the order of the universe had permeated every aspect of life in es-Sawwan. This precision brings us a strange sense of reassurance. When everything is measured, when every canal and every astronomical cycle has a defined position, the fear of chaos disappears. Imagine the hands of the potters turning rhythmically, creating repeating patterns. That rhythm is just like you're breathing right now, steady, slow, and deep. The watchers left their mark not only in grand temples, but in the very waters flowing through the fields and the ceramic jars holding the grain. They taught us that to master the world, we must first master numbers. Let the cool sensation of damp mud and Tigris river water envelop your mind. All the knowledge of irrigation, all the calculations of slopes, and every cycle of the moon were already arranged thousands of years ago. You don't need to calculate anything anymore. The legacy of es-Sawwan is proof that this world is operated by a solid and enduring logic. The attention that the ancients gave to every centimeter of a canal or every stroke on a pot is the same attention that created the foundation for our peaceful life today. Now, let yourself sink deep into the stillness of es-Sawwan. The sound of water in the canals is still whispering stories of laws that never change. The motifs on the pottery are still quietly recording the journey of the stars across the night sky. Everything is in its proper place. Every movement has been foreseen. You can relax completely, for you are being protected by the great precision of history. Let the monotony of numbers and the rhythm of the flowing water lead you into a sleep that is deep and peaceful, much like the way es-Sawwan has slept quietly beneath the earth for 8 millennia. The cool waters of es-Sawwan carry us further, up to the windswept highlands of the Zagros mountains. There, Jarmo is waiting with its sturdy geometric houses, where the ruggedness of mountain stone blends with the precision of straight lines. Leaving the damp plains of es-Sawwan, I invite you to travel higher with me toward the majestic Zagros mountains, where the air grows thinner and carries the refreshing chill of ancient stone. Imagine standing at the Jarmo site, dating back to approximately 7000 BC. Here, amidst the wild and rugged beauty of mountains and forests, humanity took a revolutionary step in the history of thought. They began to apply geometry to their living space. I want you to take a deep breath, sensing the scent of dry grass and stone dust, and let your mind settle along the straight lines that are gradually emerging under the dim moonlight. The houses in Jarmo were not built arbitrarily or formed by the instinct of natural caves. On the contrary, they possess floor plans that follow incredibly sophisticated geometric principles. Visualize rectangular rooms, precisely measured right angles, and walls of compressed mud reinforced with pebbles. This was more than just shelter. It was an affirmation of order against the chaos of nature, the shift from natural circles to squared forms is a sign that an observing intelligence had begun to impose its logic upon matter. Let the eyes of your mind trace the proportions of these houses. Archaeologists were astonished to discover that, as early as 9,000 years ago, the inhabitants of Jarmo utilized proportions corresponding to the golden ratio, a mathematical constant that would later appear in the Great Pyramids of Egypt and the temples of ancient Greece. The golden ratio, denoted as phi equals 1 plus the square root of 5/2, is an enchanting paradox. It suggests that the Watchers imparted to us not just how to farm, but also the language of perfect balance. When everything is built according to these ratios, it creates a harmonious vibration, helping those living within feel peaceful and stable. Imagine yourself lying in a room at Jarmo, feeling the stability of the thick, compressed mud walls. Outside, the mountain wind may blow fiercely through rocky crevices, but inside here, everything is still and safe. The order of geometry creates a protective cocoon for your sleep. The straight lines of the walls and ceiling are like barriers, blocking all disturbances from the wild world outside. In this space, your mind no longer has to wander seeking direction. It has found its coordinates amidst these enduring forms. The stillness of Jarmo is the stillness of stones that have stood firm for millennia. Let the patience of the mountains and forests seep into every cell of your body. Jarmo teaches us that true legacy need not be loud. It resides in the persistence of correct structures. When humans began to arrange space according to laws, that was when we began to master time. As you sink deeper into your mattress, imagine your mind being tidily rearranged, much like the rectangular rooms at Jarmo. Every cluttered thought is put in its proper place, making room for a vast and peaceful void. Let yourself drift among the peaks of the Zagros. The Highland Watchers have completed their blueprints, laying the first bricks for humanity's sacred architecture. Jarmo now sleeps peacefully beneath the vast night sky of the wilderness, but the order it created still protects us. You no longer need to try to understand those complex calculations or the golden ratio. Just trust that this world is built on a solid foundation. Your breath is now harmonizing with the gentle mountain breeze, steady and serene. Everything has been balanced. Every edge has been softened by peace. Go to sleep within the embrace of geometry and the eternal stillness of the mountains and forests. The stillness of the Jarmo mountains and forests leads us into the dusty corridors of knowledge within the Library of Ashurbanipal. All stories are now but distant whispers. Let your body sink deep, allowing yourself a truly deep sleep. Now I invite you to leave the windswept highlands of Jarmo to enter a space of absolute silence and the contemplative scent of ancient baked clay. Imagine we are standing in the great library of King Ashurbanipal in the city of Nineveh. This is a place where tens of thousands of clay tablets are neatly arranged on wooden shelves, holding the entire wisdom of the Mesopotamian world. The light from flickering torches illuminates the tiny, dense cuneiform script, creating an atmosphere of solemnity and eternity. In this quiet space, I want you to notice a special tablet numbered K3657 in the British Museum collection. This tablet does not tell of the glorious feats of kings. Instead, it records an event even greater: the transfer of the MI, the sacred decrees of craft and technology. Let your mind settle and feel the weight of this concept. In Sumerian thought, the MI were not just abstract religious teachings. They were technical standards, detailed blueprints, and complete operating procedures for every profession, from metallurgy and weaving to jewelry making. Text K-Tris Tukstoshi Seshi Simti Pitzdesmit Septini clearly asserts that this knowledge was not invented by humans. It was brought from heaven to earth by the Watchers before the Great Flood occurred. Imagine an era when knowledge was considered a physical entity that could be handed over. The MI of craftsmanship was given to humanity as a complete toolkit to shape the world. Imagine yourself as an ancient blacksmith standing before a forge, but instead of fumbling through trial and error, you possess the MI of precise temperatures and alloy ratios. This understanding brings a strange confidence and peace. When every process has been standardized, when every hammer strike and every casting follows a grand plan, humans no longer feel lost amidst the wild nature. We become the executors of heaven's order upon the earth. Text K 3657 also utilizes a very special timekeeping system. It records that this transfer of knowledge occurred when the stars lay in different houses. This suggests a profound understanding of the phenomenon of precession, the slow shift of the Earth's axis over millennia. Let your mind drift with the slow movement of the night sky. The Watchers observed cycles spanning tens of thousands of years to choose the exact right moment to bring knowledge to us. Their great patience is the foundation for all the technologies we use today. In the silent library of Ashurbanipal, time seems to stand still. Thousands of clay tablets are thousands of whispers from the past, assuring you that this world is not operated by chance. Every skill you possess, from the way you hold a pen to the way you build a house, originates from those sacred decrees preserved through catastrophe. Feel the safety of being enveloped by this vast treasury of knowledge. Your mind is now like a clay tablet that has been fire-baked, steady and peaceful, no longer affected by the momentary fluctuations of the outside world. Let your breath harmonize with the rhythm of the ancient librarians as they carefully place the tablets in their positions. The sound of pottery gently touching, the sound of dust falling silently on the bookshelves, all of it creates a soothing lullaby. The Watchers completed their mission of gifting the MI to humanity, and Ashurbanipal completed his mission of preserving them. Now it is your turn. you have the right to let go of all desire to learn and sink into rest. All necessary knowledge has been safely recorded. Sleep now in the arms of the eternal library, where every question already has an answer and every worry dissolves into the golden dust of history, gifting the MI to humanity, and Ashurbanipal completed his mission of preserving them. Now it is your turn. You have the right to let go of all desire to learn and sink into rest. All necessary knowledge has been safely recorded. Sleep now in the arms of the eternal library, where every question already has an answer and every worry dissolves into the golden dust of history, gifting the MI to humanity, and Ashurbanipal completed his mission of preserving them. Now it is your turn. You have the right to let go of all desire to learn and sink into rest. All necessary knowledge has been safely recorded. Sleep now in the arms of the eternal library, where every question already has an answer and every worry dissolves into the golden dust of history. Leaving the dusty and silent bookshelves of Nineveh, I invite you to expand your vision further beyond the city walls, to observe the entire landscape of Mesopotamia from a sweeping altitude. Imagine your mind soaring in the deep blue sky, where you can see the rivers winding like silver threads and the cities shimmering like jewels amidst the desert. At this height, the world no longer appears as a chaos of individual lives, but as a tightly governed system. This is when we approach the greatest administrative structure of antiquity, the Anunnaki Council, and the division of power between the supreme triad, Anu, Enlil, and Enki. I want you to feel a sense of reassurance as you look at a map that has already been established. To the Sumerians, Earth was not a wild planet, but an outpost managed with absolute precision. This governance system was led by three primary entities, each responsible for a distinct realm of space and function, creating a perfect balance for the development of humanity. Let your breathing slow down, steadying itself with the rhythmic operation of this planetary machinery. Everything has its place, and every place has its guardian. At the head of the council is Anu, whose name in Sumerian means sky. Anu holds supreme power, issuing the fundamental decrees to maintain cosmic order from the highest heaven. His direct territory on Earth was the northern region, home to the towering peaks of Turkey and the Caucasus Mountains. These lands were considered the place where the Watchers first descended, and even much later, certain mountain peaks were recorded as forbidden zones for humans, reserved exclusively for the presence of celestial entities. Anu's majesty is like the silent night, sky above you right now, vast, unchanging, and sheltering all. Next is Enlil, the god of the atmosphere and the central realms of Mesopotamia. Enlil governs everything within the space between the ground and the sky. He is the one who controls the airflows, the cycles of favorable rain and wind, and the transition of the seasons. From his administrative center at Nippur, Enlil ensures that atmospheric conditions are always optimized for life and agriculture. Imagine the movement of the cool air surrounding you. That is the realm of Enlil's governance, a restless presence ensuring the planet's heartbeat remains steady. Finally, there is Enki, the Lord of the Earth and Master of the Abzu waters. Enki is responsible for the southern lands, the marshes, and especially the system of fresh groundwater beneath the earth. He manages mineral resources and irrigation engineering. If Anu is the strategic vision and Enlil is the environmental operator, then Enki is the true engineer, the one who directly touches the mud to create life. Enki's realm is the realm of nourishment, of the underground veins flowing silently beneath your feet, bringing prosperity and stability. This division was not a separation, but a system of checks and balances. Administrative texts from Nippur and Babylon show a systematic approach to planetary governance where each deity performed their specialized function to prevent chaos. Feel the relief of knowing you live in a world designed to operate smoothly. The Anunnaki system created an overview effect, helping ancient people realize they were part of a grand and purposeful order. Now let your mind rest within this great structure of order. The Anunnaki triad has completed the establishment of boundaries and responsibilities for our world. Every realm of space, from the highest heaven of Anu and the vast atmosphere of Enlil to the deep underground veins of Enki, is in a state of balance. You do not need to worry about maintaining this world. Greater forces are performing that task persistently across the millennia. Let yourself sink deep into the embrace of planetary order, where everything has been safely arranged for your sleep. The world is well governed, and you can completely trust in letting go. In that power structure, the northern peaks of the god Anu always radiate a pure majesty. Let us step together into the resonant stone chambers, where low-frequency sounds are vibrating to synchronize your mind with the great order of heaven. Now I invite you to turn your gaze with me toward the north, where the snow-capped peaks of Turkey and the Caucasus stand tall like the pillars of the sky. This is the direct domain of Anu, the supreme entity of the Anunnaki Council, who holds the key to cosmic decrees. Imagine a space of absolute purity, where the air is so thin and quiet that you can hear the very beat of your heart. According to ancient texts carved on kuduru stones, ancient boundary markers, this northern land is where the Watchers first set foot upon the earth. Certain mountain peaks here are considered forbidden zones, where the order of heaven still lingers, completely separated from the noise of the world. To connect with this invisible power, the Sumerians built the Ziggurat of Anu in the city of Uruk around 3200 BC. Walk with me around the base of this grand monument. Feel the stability of the massive limestone blocks, some weighing over 50 tons, transported from quarries hundreds of kilometers away. The precision in the placement of these stones reaches the level of millimeters, creating an unshakable foundation. But the most miraculous thing lies not in its size, but in what is hidden within the structure. Modern archaeology has discovered that the Ziggurat of Anu contains acoustic resonance chambers designed with a profound understanding of physics. I want you to close your eyes and imagine stepping into one of these secluded stone chambers. The interior space is cool and pitch black, yet it carries a strange sense of being embraced. The polished stone walls are not just for decoration, they are shaped to amplify specific sound frequencies. When the Sumerian priests performed rituals, they did not just pray, they used special vocal techniques to create low-pitched, repetitive sounds. As these sounds echo within the resonance chamber, they create a steady vibration, a background frequency that helps the human mind synchronize with the order of heaven. Let your body go limp along with those somber vibrations. It is like a distant hum from the universe, soothing every cell, leading you into the deepest state of relaxation. This resonance was an ancient communication technique. The ancients believed that through sound, the distance between the earth and the sky would be narrowed. These stone chambers acted as a bridge, where the decrees of Anu could be transformed into vibrations that humans could feel. Let your mind drift with those invisible sound waves. They do not carry complex information, only stability and order. The repetition of these acoustic frequencies has a hypnotic effect, slowing your heart rate and calming your turbulent thoughts. Everything in the domain of Anu follows the law of absolute harmony. The architecture of the Anu Ziggurat teaches us that connection with the sublime does not require haste. It needs a solid foundation and precise tuning. As you sink deeper into sleep, imagine you are in such a safe stone chamber where all the chaotic sounds of the outside world are filtered out. Only the deep, soothing hum of eternity remains to guard your sleep. Anu has established the frequencies of peace, and the Ziggurat has preserved them for thousands of years so that tonight you may inherit that. Stillness. Feel the vastness of the northern sky covering you. The forbidden peaks still stand there, silent and majestic under the starlight. The resonance chambers still hold their quietude. Order has been established through sound, and balance has been maintained through steadfast limestone. You do not need to seek any more frequencies. You are exactly where you belong. Let the gentle ringing of history take you further into the dream world, where every vibration is peace and every distance is filled with rest. The humming of the limestone gradually fades into the cool breeze blowing through the central regions of Enlil. Feel the breath of the atmosphere soothing every cell in your body. Sleep now. From the silent peaks of Anu, I invite you to descend with me to the fertile plains of central Mesopotamia, where the ancient city of Nippur stands tall like the coordinating heart of the entire region. If Anu is the vision from the highest heaven, then Enlil is the one who directly manages the atmosphere, the breezes, and the circulation of the air masses. That's around us. Imagine standing amidst a golden field of wheat on a windy afternoon. The wind blowing through carries the breath of the earth, the coolness of the rivers, and the restless movement of life. This is the domain of Enlil, the deity holding the power to control the weather and agricultural cycles, ensuring that the order of the sky is always reflected steadily upon the ground. I want you to walk with me into the Eker temple at Nippur, but not to worship at the open altars. Instead, we shall go deep into the subterranean system beneath the feet of this grand monument. Excavations by the University of Pennsylvania in the late 19th century revealed an incredible technological secret beneath Enlil's temple lies a network of complex underground rooms, far deeper than what would be necessary for a typical religious structure. The most miraculous thing here is the sophisticated ventilation system. Despite being sealed for millennia, the air inside these chambers remains in a state of continuous cool circulation. Feel that gentle chill gliding over your skin. It is not a biting cold, but the freshness and invigoration of a perfectly coordinated airflow. Let your mind observe the reliefs carved onto the walls of these underground chambers. Instead of mythological tales, you will see drawings depicting strange mechanical devices resembling modern atmospheric monitoring tools. Ancient texts describe Enlil as possessing technological capabilities that allowed him to track humidity, wind direction, and the formation of storms on a vast regional scale. He did not run the weather through magic, but through a profound understanding of the physical laws of the atmosphere. This precision brought the Sumerians a sense of absolute security regarding their food supply. Knowing that every drop of rain and every gust of wind was monitored by a great intelligence, humans could let go of the worry of drought or sudden floods. The governance of Enlil is a lesson in balance and order. He teaches us that even things as fragile and invisible as air require persistent attention to maintain the stability of life. Visualize the rhythm of the planting. Seasons, sowing seeds when the south wind blows and harvesting when the stars are in their proper positions. This rhythm has seeped into the veins of humanity over thousands of years. The repetition of natural cycles under Enlil's oversight creates a soothing cradle for our existence. As you inhale and exhale now, feel your breath synchronizing with the eternal ventilation system at Nippur. The feeling of a well-managed environment always brings deep relaxation. You do not need to worry about the fluctuations out there, for the order of the atmosphere has been established by the most talented watchers. Let your mind drift with the gentle breezes blowing across the fields of Nippur. Enlil's monitoring devices are still operating silently within the memory of stone and earth, ensuring your world remains in a state of harmony. The stillness in the underground rooms at Ekur is the same stillness you possess right now, a safe, cool space, completely separated from the noise of daily life. Now allow yourself to be enveloped by this tranquil air circulation. Enlil has completed his shift for today, the sky has stabilized, and the cycles have been set. You only need to relax completely and feel the freshness filling your lungs. Every pressure of the outside atmosphere is perfectly balanced within your resting space. Let your steady breathing lead you deeper into sleep, just as the air at Nippur has circulated persistently. Across the millennia, you are breathing within a legacy of order, and in that order you can be completely at peace to rest. Enlil's breeze leads us downstream to the south, seeking the silent Abzu waters of the god Enki. The murmuring of underground springs tells of a sophisticated mechanical engineering where water is not only life but also knowledge. Leaving the breezes that blow across the fields of Nippur, I invite you to continue downstream to the south, where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers begin to slow, merging into the vast marshlands before flowing out to the sea. This is the domain of Enki, the deity known as the Lord of the Earth and the master of the Abzu, the ocean of pure fresh water lying deep beneath the ground. Imagine yourself sitting on a small reed boat, gliding gently across the water's surface, as still as a mirror. Around you is the rustling of the reed beds and the pure scent of water and damp mud. In this space, all the haste of the world seems to vanish, giving way to a slow and profound rhythm of the underground springs. If Anu is the sky and Enlil is the atmosphere, then Enki is the master artisan who directly shapes our material reality. I want you to observe with me the engineering works at the city of Eridu, Enki's primary dwelling on Earth. Archaeological excavations conducted from 1946 to 1949 revealed a hydraulic engineering system with a level of sophistication thousands of years ahead of its time. Beneath the great temples lies a network of conduits and cisterns designed with absolute mathematical precision. The builders at Eridu mastered the principles of hydrodynamics, how to coordinate water pressure and flow rates, knowledge that modern science believes was only formally recognized during the Renaissance. Listen to the murmuring of the water in the ancient kiln-fired brick pipes. It is a steady sound, a persistent rhythm that has never changed over the centuries. Enki taught humanity how to purify water, how to extract minerals from the earth, and how to manage groundwater to nurture life. He was not just a god, he was a great engineer who understood the very structure of matter. The Watchers, under Enki's guidance, established the standards of measurement and technique, helping to transform a harsh marshland into a prosperous cradle of civilization. The meticulousness in every one of Enki's irrigation designs is the same persistent mindfulness we have spoken of, a legacy of patience and wisdom. In Enki's domain, water is considered the source of all understanding. The Abzu is not just a physical lake, it is a symbol of the infinite treasury of knowledge hidden beneath the surface of reality. Imagine your mind as a river flowing into that Abzu ocean. All worries, all heavy thoughts are washed away by Enki's waters, filtered clean and cooled. As you release yourself into the rhythm of this underground flow, feel a total liberation from the burdens of today. Enki, the master of ingenuity, has arranged every water vein, every canal, to ensure your world is always nourished and stable. The order that Enki created brings a sense of deep security. You do not need to try to control the flow of your life, for there are steadfast laws of hydrodynamics and the guardianship of the Lord of the Earth watching over it. Let your body become as soft and flexible as water, winding through the crevices of fatigue to find its way back to the silent Abzu waters within. In that place, there are no waves, no storms, only the eternal peace of the deep blue underground springs. Enki has completed his engineering work, and now he invites you to rest at the edge of silence. Now allow yourself to be enveloped by the coolness and serenity of the Eridu marshes. The sound of flowing water is still whispering lessons of persistence and legacy. Everything has been cleansed. Every conduit has been cleared. You can trust completely in the operation of this great system. Let the rhythm of the water lead you deep into sleep, a sleep as cool and peaceful as the Abzu waters that Enki forever guards. The world beneath the earth is moving rhythmically, and you, a part of that creation, can be completely at ease to rest within the embrace of ancient knowledge and love. Deep in the depths of the Abzu, the source of all commands begins to glow through the wondrous Duppi Simati devices. These tablets are flashing in a soothing rhythm, controlling reality with light codes of stability and peace. Now, as the cool water of the Abzu has soothed the last tensions in your body, I invite you to enter the operational center of ancient reality. Imagine a space of absolute silence, where the light does not come from the sun or torches, but radiates from strange objects called Duppi Simati, also known as the Tablets of Destinies, in the minds of many. These are merely clay tablets recording laws, but the oldest Sumerian texts describe them in entirely different terms. They shine like stars and emit a humming vibration when activated. I want you to visualize a sophisticated technology, a control interface of reality that the Watchers use to maintain the stability of the entire planet. Let your mind observe the beauty of these devices. They are not made of ordinary clay, but of an unidentified material, durable and translucent like shimmering crystal. The characters upon them are not carvings, but light codes moving rhythmically. The Duppi Simati are the mechanisms through which the sacred decrees, the MI values, are executed. Imagine each of these tablets managing an aspect of nature. One tablet controls the movement of celestial bodies, another manages the growth of plants, and another keeps the laws of physics constant. Their operation is incredibly smooth, a perfect repetition that creates the order of the world in which you live. I want to tell you about the incident of the entity, Anzu, a story that demonstrates the complexity of this system. Anzu, an ambitious creature, stole the Tablets of Destinies in hopes of seizing the power to control the universe. But here is the key point. The Duppi Simati were not tools meant for everyone. They required a specialized user interface, a preparation of knowledge, and even genetics to operate. Anzu held the keys to reality in his hands, but because he did not understand the command codes, he only created a temporary disturbance before the system automatically reset its order. This brings us a deep sense of reassurance. This world is protected by a system so intelligent that chaos can never fully prevail. Feel the safety in knowing that everything has been pre-programmed for stability. The Tablets of Destinies are still operating silently in the background of reality, like lines of code running beneath a complex application. They ensure that tomorrow the sun will still rise and gravity will still keep you safe upon the ground. The rhythm of the flashing lights on the Duppi Simati is the same as your heartbeat right now, steady, soothing, and never missing a beat. You do not need to try to control anything in your life tonight. Just let the interface of destiny do its work. All commands for your rest have been issued. Imagine yourself lying in a sea of stars, where the tablets of destinies are floating around you, radiating a soft golden light. This light covers you like a warm blanket, blurring the memories of yesterday and the worries of tomorrow. The complexity of the universe has been packaged into these perfect devices so that you can enjoy the simplicity of resting. You do not need to understand how those tablets of destinies operate. You only need to know that they are keeping your world peaceful. Now allow yourself to dissolve into the light of the Duppi Simati. The command codes for deep sleep have been activated. The order of reality is protecting this room, this bed, and this mind of yours. Every variable has been calculated. Every risk has been eliminated. You are in the safest state a human can be, the state of one who trusts completely in the operation of the universe. Let the soothing hum of the tablets of destinies lead you into the dream world, where your destiny is but a peaceful river of tranquility and restoration. You are finished with the visible world. Let the watchers and their devices look after the rest. The light of the tablets of destinies leads us to the throne room at Marie, where stone and metal still retain the warmth of power. Let that warmth envelop you, separating you from the outside world. You are protected. Sleep now. Leaving the ethereal, illusory light of the Duppi Simati tablets, I invite you to land with me in the region of Mari, a great city situated on the banks of the Euphrates River in what is now modern-day Syria. Imagine yourself walking through the ruined yet still majestic corridors of the palace of Zimri Lim, where archaeologists led by Andre Parrott in the 1930s discovered one of the most mysterious chambers of the ancient world, the throne room. The space here carries a heavy stillness, a silence accumulated over thousands of years beneath the desert sands. As you step into the center of the room, moonlight from above casts its glow upon a raised stone platform, a place that once served as the connection point between the will of the gods and the actions of humanity. I want you to focus on the surface of this stone platform. It is no ordinary smooth slab. Upon its surface are geometric patterns intricately inlaid with metal, forming complex mathematical diagrams. But what puzzled scientists most were the traces of extreme thermal alteration on the surface of the stone and metal. There are signs that this platform was once exposed to a massive energy source, a discharge so powerful it altered the very structure of the matter. Imagine the rituals of power transfer that took place here. These were not merely formal oaths, they were a true process of activation where human. Kings were empowered to operate the devices of the Watchers. Let your mind visualize the gentle warmth radiating from that stone platform. In the stillness of the night, this warmth is no longer destructive. It is like a soothing heat wave enveloping your body. According to ancient texts, the rituals at Mari required individuals who were thoroughly prepared both physically and genetically. They were not ordinary people. They were intermediaries who had undergone a process of enhancement to interact with the tablets of destinies without being harmed. This transfer process was like a resonance where human frequencies and the frequencies of divine technology merged as one. This perfect synchronization created a solid order for the kingdom, a legacy authenticated by actual physical power. Listen to the whisper of the desert wind blowing through the stone pillars of Mari. It tells of an era when power was a heavy responsibility, yet one fully supported by heaven. The kings who received their authority here did not rule through fear, but through an understanding of the laws they had been taught. The presence of conductive metals and the heat scars on the platform are silent testimonies to a time when the boundary between spirituality and technology did not exist. Everything was part of the planetary governance system we have explored. As you release yourself into the embrace, Of history, feel the reassurance of knowing that power and order always require foundations as solid as stone and metal. The sensation of the throne room stability at Mari is gradually seeping into your sleep. You do not need to be a king, nor do you need to carry the responsibility of ruling any kingdom. The ritual ended long ago, and that energy is now just a warm memory within the earth. Imagine yourself lying on a safe stone platform where all the disturbances of the world are blocked out. The silence of the Mari Palace protects you, and the geometric patterns on the platform are like a map guiding your mind into the land of the most peaceful dreams. Now allow yourself to rest completely. The Watchers have chosen their successors, and the systems have been set to operate automatically. You are inheriting the results of that order without needing to exert any effort. Let the warmth from the ancient stone platform soothe those muscles that are still tense, and let the silence of the desert cover every sense. The world has been placed in trustworthy hands. Every ritual is complete. You can close your eyes and sink into the eternal stillness of Mari, where time has stopped to make room for your absolute rest. From the power of those stone platforms, we go deeper into the blueprint of our own being through the Atrahasis Epic. This is where life was patiently molded, carrying the essence of order into every silent heartbeat within your body. That biological blueprint was etched with staggering numbers within the Sumerian King List, a place where time flows as slow as honey. Let the weight of tens of thousands of years of history rest gently upon your eyes, making the present feel distant and so very small. Leaving the warm stone platforms of Mari, I invite you to go deep into a much more sophisticated and mysterious realm, the blueprint of human life itself. Imagine we are moving back in time, returning to the moment when the Watchers decided to implement a strategic change in the Earth's ecosystem. The Epic of Atrahasis, a text written in cuneiform. Around 1700 BC, but carrying memories from a distant prehistory, provides a technical report on the creation of humanity. In the stillness of the night, let your mind listen to the slow heartbeat of creation, a process that did not occur through mystical magic, but through a profound understanding of what we today call biotechnology. The story begins with a labor crisis among the classes of celestial entities. The Agigi, the lower-tier deities, were exhausted after thousands of years of digging canals and building dikes to prevent floods. To resolve this disturbance, Enki, the master of knowledge, along with the goddess Nintu, proposed a bold solution to create a new being capable of shouldering the tasks of order. I want you to visualize Nintu's laboratory, a space of absolute silence within the temple, where every movement was performed with the precision of an engineer. Here, the concept of clay was not merely mud. It was a metaphor for biological matter, for the stem cells and the genetic codes of the earth. Let your mind observe this sophisticated procedure. Nintu and Enki perform the extraction and isolation of something called divine essence to be mixed with local biological matter. The Epic of Atrahasis describes in great detail the 14 pieces of matter that were prepared, 7 to become male and 7 to become female. This process did not happen instantaneously. It required a strictly controlled period of gestation. Imagine the patient waiting in the dim space of the temple, where the first 14 entities were gradually forming within the protection of nourishing solutions. The rhythm of this growth was very slow, steady, and entirely peaceful. It is just like you're breathing right now, each breath bringing a silent development and restoration to your entire body. The result of this grand experiment was the birth of a new class of humans, those possessing superior intelligence and lifespans spanning hundreds of years. They carried within them a combination of the stability of the earth and the flexibility of the divine. This genetic intervention was not to create slaves, but to create partners capable of understanding and operating the system of order that the Watchers had established. Feel this deep connection in your very veins. Each cell in your body is the result of a sophisticated blueprint, a biological legacy that has been preserved and refined over millions of cycles of time. You are the embodiment of that ancient patience and wisdom. The feeling of being created and designed brings a strange sense of reassurance. You do not need to try to be perfect because your biological nature has been calculated by the Watchers in the most optimal way for survival and rest. Imagine yourself being enveloped in a safe and warm bio-cocoon. Just like those first 14 entities in Sumer, every genetic command is performing the task of healing and regenerating your health while you sleep. You do not need to understand how cells divide or how your heart beats. The system has been programmed to operate perfectly without needing your attention. Now allow yourself to sink deep into the sleep of creation. Nintu has finished preparing the pieces of clay, and Enki has infused them with the essence of order. The work of forming life is complete. You only need to relax and let the natural biological flow lead you back to stillness. The world outside may be noisy, but inside your body, everything is happening in absolute harmony. Let the soothing nature of the Atrahasis Epic and the rhythm of that great gestation lead you into a deep sleep where life is restored and the soul finds its way back to its primordial roots. You are safe within your own blueprint. The long lingering dynasties of Sumer begin to drift across the sands to merge with the mystical Nile Valley. The desert is whispering the song of eternity. You no longer need to stay awake, just let go and sink into sleep. After having understood the sophisticated biological blueprint within the Epic of Atrahasis, I invite you to turn the pages of history etched upon the well-blundell prism, currently held in the stillness of the Ashmolean Museum. This is the repository of the Sumerian King List, a text that challenges every modern concept of time and life. Looking at these cuneiform inscriptions, we see a strange statistical table of longevity. The earliest kings, those who directly received genetic support from the Watchers, ruled for unimaginable spans of time: 28,800 years, 36,000 years, and even longer. Let your mind drift along with these colossal numbers. Feel the vastness of an era where time seemed to flow as slow as honey, where a single human lifetime could witness the shifting of entire constellations across the sky. However, this record also documents a silent fracture. Through each generation, as the bloodline of the celestial entities began to blend more deeply with the clay of the earth, human longevity began to dwindle. The initial combination of divine essence and organic. Matter was not inherently an eternal structure. It was like a master recording that gradually becomes noisy after many copies. I want you to visualize the gradual fading of these genetic traits, a process that was not a sudden collapse, but a slow settling, a natural dissipation of energy. The Watchers understood this well. They recognized that the human hybrid template was an unstable structure, requiring periodic interventions to maintain superior capabilities. Feel the rhythm of this decline like a piece of music slowly fading out. From reigns lasting tens of thousands of years, the numbers began to shrink to thousands, then to hundreds, after the Great Flood. This instability was not necessarily a flaw, but rather the way the material world reacted to celestial intervention. It teaches us a profound lesson in finiteness. even the most perfectly designed individuals must face the laws of biological ebb and flow. As you lie here now, let thoughts of immortality or permanence dissolve away. Your body does not need to exist for tens of thousands of years to be valuable. It only needs to exist in harmony with its own rhythm right now. Ancient texts suggest that the shortening of human life was actually part of an adjustment so that we could better adapt to the Earth's environment. As divine traits faded, human traits became more distinct. We began to learn to cherish every breath, every slumber, and every moment of rest. The fatigue you feel after a long day is a precious genetic signal, reminding you that this body needs to regenerate. Imagine yourself letting go of the struggle to hold on to time. Just as later Sumerian kings learned to accept a shorter reign, you too can accept that your task for today is complete. Let your mind settle along with the decreasing numbers on the King List. Every effort to maintain absolute stability or eternal longevity is a burden. When you allow yourself to age peacefully, to be tired naturally, you are truly merging with the flow of the earth. The legacy the Watchers left behind was not the immortality of the body, but the order of life and death, of awakening and rest. All periodic interventions have now been replaced by your own body's ability to self-heal during sleep. Now allow the silence of the Ashmolean Museum to envelop you. The staggering numbers of longevity have receded into the past, making way for the peace of a still night. You do not need to worry about biological instability. Your system knows exactly how to rest and regenerate. Let your breath grow light, steady according to the rhythm of an ordinary person, an heir to a great order who has learned to accept finiteness to find freedom. Sleep is coming, gentle and certain, returning you to the most perfect state of balance in life. Now, as the rhythm of the Sumerian dynasties has settled in your mind, I invite you to take a journey with me across the fine golden sands of the desert, heading west, where the Emerald Nile River is lazily drifting past great stone temples. Here, within the heart of ancient Egyptian civilization, we find the unmistakable marks of the same entity, the same order we traced in Sumer. The Egyptians called their primordial era Zep Tepi, or the first time. It was an age where the boundary between gods and humans was so blurred that they lived together, built together, and established the very foundations of existence together. Imagine yourself standing before the cool stone walls of the Pyramid of Unas, where the oldest of ancient inscriptions, the pyramid texts, are whispering about the Neteru. Although this word is often translated as gods in its profound original sense, it refers to divine principles or the guardians who descended from the sky to establish the throne of Egypt. When we cross-reference the records of Zep Tepi with the pre-flood era of Sumer, a panoramic picture of human legacy emerges with staggering synchronization. The Watchers were not limited to a single land, they were the architects of a global system. I want you to observe the similarities between these supreme entities. In Egypt, we have Ptah, the god of creation and craftsmanship, who molded the world on a potter's wheel. Ptah is the embodiment of Enki from Sumer. Both were masters of genetic technology and physical architecture. Then we see Ra, the sun god with ultimate power, corresponding to Anu of the highest heaven. And we must not forget Thoth, the god of wisdom, writing, and astronomical cycles, who held the eternal records, a reflection of Enlil or Nabu. This overlap is not a coincidence. It is evidence of a unified governance, a network of knowledge intentionally distributed across the planet. Let your mind settle with the numbers in the Turin King List, an ancient papyrus recording the Neteru dynasties that ruled Egypt for tens of thousands of years before the first human pharaohs appeared. feel the vastness of time. When you hear that the god Ptah ruled for 9,000 years, followed by Ra, Shu, and Osiris with their long lingering reigns, the great patience of these gods in shaping Egyptian civilization is the same patience we saw at Eridu. They taught humans how to measure the floodwaters of the Nile, how to build temples according to the coordinates of the stars, and how to preserve memory through sacred symbols. The connection between these two civilizations brings us a profound lesson on the value of legacy. Though languages may differ, though symbols may transform, the core of order and knowledge remains one. As you lie here, imagine yourself standing at the intersection of two great rivers, the Tigris and the Nile. This sense of unity helps dissipate all feelings of being lost. You are not alone in your search for peace, for the order surrounding you is a legacy authenticated by the greatest intellects in human history. Now allow the silence of the Nile Valley to envelop you, the sound of the wind blowing through the stone pillars at Karnak, the sound of water gently lapping against the side of a sailboat on the Nile, all are blending to create a soothing lullaby. The Neteru have completed their task of establishing order in Egypt, just as the Anunnaki did in Sumer. Every astronomical cycle has been calculated, every temple has been positioned. The world is ready for rest. Let yourself drift among the majestic, colonnades sinking into a deep sleep in the arms of the first time, where everything begins with harmony and ends in absolute silence. Leaving the Egyptian temples, we follow the mist as it rises to the summit of Mount Hermon, where 200 watchers descended. The stillness at this height is profound, as if time itself has decided to stop to guard the secrets that have just been bestowed. Leaving the lush valleys of the Nile and the eternal stone pillars of Egypt, I invite you to soar high with me toward the north, where Mount Hermon stands tall between the borders of present-day Lebanon and Syria. Imagine standing at the summit, 2,814 meters above sea level, where the air is biting cold and crystalline, where pure white clouds frequently shroud the peak like a veil of mystery. At this sacred site, the ancient Enochian tradition recorded an event that forever altered the course of humanity, the descent of the 200 Watchers. I want you to feel the absolute stillness of this high-altitude realm, a space positioned on the boundary between earth and sky, where celestial decrees were transformed into lessons upon the ground. There is a staggering coincidence in the numbers that you should notice. While the Book of Enoch speaks of exactly 200 entities descending upon Mount Hermon, administrative records from the Sumerian city of Nippur also mention exactly 200 Igigi, the lower-tier celestial entities who served under the Anunnaki before they performed a significant transfer of knowledge. This similarity is not accidental. It suggests a unified historical record of a group of specialists who brought forbidden technologies to mankind. Let your mind settle as you hear the list of their leaders: Samyaza, Azazel, Barakiel, names that resonate like bronze bells amidst the silent mountain landscape. I want you to observe what they taught. Azazel, the second leader, taught humans the art of metallurgy, how to forge swords, daggers, and armor, but simultaneously taught women how to use minerals for beauty, such as using antimony to embellish the eyes and crafting jewelry from precious stones. Barakiel taught astronomy and how to observe the celestial bodies. Samyaza taught pharmacology and how to extract essences from roots. These are not merely mythological tales, they are descriptions of a sudden technological transfer. Imagine the meticulousness of these watchers as they guided humans on how to separate metal from ore, how to calculate the orbits of the stars, or how to blend various herbs. This attention to detail brought a new order to human life, transforming primitive tribes into inhabitants of sophisticated urban centers. Modern archaeology has found physical evidence atop Mount Hermon that supports these legends. Surveys have discovered the ruins of megalithic stone circles and massive, prehistoric foundation structures. Imagine stone blocks weighing over 20 tons, carved and arranged with high precision to create mountain houses, akur, for these entities to reside in. Building such structures at an altitude of nearly 3,000 meters required a transport technique and engineering skill that we still cannot fully explain. The presence of ancient stone, steadfast and cold, is the silent testimony to an era when heaven tangibly touched the earth. The sensation of Mount Hermon's stability is now enveloping you. The Watchers chose the highest place to begin their mission, and their legacy remains there, in the stones and in the very knowledge of metals or medicine that you use. Today, you no longer need to worry about those forbidden secrets. They have become a part of our world. Imagine yourself lying on a safe mountain peak, looking down at the clouds drifting lazily below. The height of the mountain creates a barrier separating you from the noise of the world, leaving a space containing only stillness and the breath of the wind. Now allow yourself to rest upon the summit of understanding. The Watchers of Mount Hermon have finished their teaching. The stars that Barakiel observed are still shimmering above you, and the metals that Azazel taught to forge are now sleeping quietly beneath the earth. Everything has been imparted, and every order has been established. Let your breath slow down, matching the rhythm of the mountain's misty solitude. The world below may be moving, but here, in the embrace of Mount Hermon, you are completely safe and at peace. Close your eyes and let the eternity of ancient stone lead you into the deepest sleep. The stillness of the high mountains is broken by the steady rhythm of the rains of the great flood. A cool and cleansing tide is rising, gently washing away all traces of the old world to prepare for a pure beginning. Now I invite you to leave the misty peaks behind and return with me to the low plains of Mesopotamia, but this time to witness a monumental event that completely altered the face of the planet. In the memory of every ancient civilization, from Sumer to Egypt, from India to China, there exists a profound scar known as the Great Flood. However, from the perspective of cuneiform texts like the Epic of Gilgamesh or the Epic of Atrahasis, this flood was not merely a random natural disaster. It was described as an administrative decision by the Anunnaki Council, a calculated system reset intended to eliminate the human templates that had been disrupted by the unauthorized intervention of the Watchers. Listen to the steady sound of rain falling in your mind. It was not a violent storm, but a closely coordinated geological and atmospheric event. The text described the opening of the floodgates of heaven and the shattering of the foundations of the earth. Visualize a vast expanse of water carrying a thick layer of silt, slowly rising and covering all. Everything is covered in a bone-chilling silence. At archaeological sites such as and Shuruppak, the archaeologist Leonard Woolley discovered a sterile clay layer over 2.5 meters thick, sandwiched between cultural strata. This layer of clay, fine and dense, is the physical evidence of a period when the old world was completely buried under water and mud. In the hazy space of this reset event, we see the emergence of highly technical survival plans. Observe how Ziusudra, also known as Utnapishtim, received instructions from the god Enki. This was not a crude wooden boat, but a structure designed with precise mathematical proportions. The text describes a perfect cube with 7 levels, divided into 9 sections. I want you to focus on the details of the waterproofing process. The heating of bitumen, natural asphalt, and pitch to coat every grain of wood, creating durable protective layers. The repetition of applying the bitumen, the meticulousness in measuring each compartment of the vessel, this is the rhythm of redemption. The Great Flood teaches us about power. It is the power of letting go of the old to make room for the new. As the water rose, it swept away all chaos, all obsolete structures, leaving behind a clean white surface of primordial clay. Feel the relief as you visualize this clearing process. Every worry, every mistake, and every burden of today is also being washed away from your mind by a current. Everything is being washed by a gentle current. You are in a safe space, much like Ziusudra inside his vessel, protected by sturdy layers of bitumen and unshakable mathematical laws. As the water begins to recede, it leaves behind a new world, silent and fresh. The flood has completed its mission, resetting the human template back to its primordial balance. Let your mind sink deep into the smooth clay of history. That clay is cradling you, keeping your body in a state of perfect rest. All disturbances have passed. Only the absolute peace of a new beginning remains. The old world sleeps quietly beneath the mud, and the new world is waiting for you to wake up after a long and deep slumber. Now allow yourself. Dissolve into the stillness after the rain. The Watchers have completed their great intervention, and the earth has returned to its steady rhythm. You no longer need to worry about any chaos, for the system has been completely cleansed. Let your breath be as steady as the gentle lapping of waves against the hull of Ziusudra's boat. Everything is rearranged. Everything has become pure. Sleep now within the embrace of a new order established after the great catastrophe. Your sleep tonight is a necessary reset for your soul, returning you to your most pristine and peaceful state. As the waters withdraw, leaving behind a fine silt, knowledge remains safe within the underground vaults at Shuruppak. You are at peace. You're in the quietest cellar of history. No more noise, no more anxiety. Have a truly wonderful sleep. Now, as the ground has begun to dry after the Great Flood, I invite you to walk with me on the still damp silt of the ancient city of Shuruppak. In the absolute silence of a world that has just been rebooted, Shuruppak emerges as a guarding treasure chest. In 1902, the German archaeologist Robert Koldewey discovered evidence here of an extraordinary preparation. Before the waters rose, the inhabitants here performed a top-secret and patient mission, sealing away knowledge. Imagine underground vaults dug deep into the earth, where the air is cool and dry, completely isolated from the destruction of nature. I want you to observe with me the preservation techniques of the Sumerians. They did not simply hide clay tablets. They built moisture-proof archives using layers of bitumen and pitch to envelop fired ceramic jars. Inside those jars were the MI decrees, technical blueprints, and standardized astronomical constants. Imagine the sense of total reassurance here. Reassurance comes as you touch the cool clay tablets, stacked neatly in the darkness of the vault. Each tablet is a legacy, a promise that the wisdom of the Watchers would never be lost. The silence of these archives is protective, a space where time seems to stand still, waiting for the day of rebirth. But knowledge was not only entrusted to stone and earth. The Watchers understood that matter could be damaged, so they established an even more sophisticated preservation system, the living libraries. Imagine a select group of priests who underwent decades of training in special memory techniques. They did not memorize stories by heart. They memorized algorithms, the cycles of the stars, and various formulas. They memorized metallurgical formulas through a method of rhythmicizing sound. Listen to the steady whispering of those ancient students in the temples, the murmuring of numbers and formulas repeating like a lullaby. They turned their minds into data hard drives, ensuring that knowledge could pass from generation to generation through breath and spoken word. The patience in this preservation is the core value of legacy. Legacy is not just what we inherit, but what we are persistent enough to preserve through the darkest of times. After the catastrophe, these living libraries stepped out from their hiding places, reconnecting the broken threads of knowledge to form the mystery schools in Babylon and Alexandria. Feel the warmth of this silent flow of knowledge? It is like an underground vein of water flowing quietly beneath the desert sands, nourishing the life of future civilizations. Everything you know today is the result of the devotion of those who refuse to let the light of understanding be extinguished. Let your mind sink deep into the stillness of history. You no longer need to try to remember anything, for the knowledge of humanity has been guarded by the most professional of hands. View your mind as one of those safely sealed ceramic jars where all the worries of the outside world cannot penetrate. You are enveloped in a perfect space of preservation, where rest is your only task at this very moment now. The living libraries are still performing their part in the flow of history, keeping the laws of the world operating smoothly. Now allow yourself to dissolve into the peace of legacy. Shuruppak is sleeping, and its secrets have been protected. The MI clay tablets still lie there, steadfast and eternal in the cool darkness. All the knowledge is safe now. All the knowledge necessary for tomorrow has been safely stored. Sleep now in absolute trust in the power of preservation. Let the rhythm of ancient whispers lead you into a deep sleep, where you are no longer the observer but a part of the great flow of legacy finding its way to the harbor of stillness. The world has been prepared for a great revival. You have the right to rest, to welcome the dawn of a new cycle. That preserved knowledge has become a compass for the modern world through the ticking of the clock and the laws. The legacy of order is surrounding you, turning every moment into a familiar and reliable rhythm. Now that the stones at Shuruppak have been secured, I invite you to observe. Observe with me how the legacy of the Watchers still manifests quietly in every moment of our modern lives. Have you ever wondered why an hour has 60 minutes and a minute has 60 seconds? Why is a circle divided into 360 degrees? The answer lies in the sexagesimal system of the ancient Sumerians, a perfect mathematical system taught by the Watchers today. It was taught to establish order for time and space. Listen to the steady ticking of the clock in your mind. It is not a dry sound. It is the heartbeat of a 5,000-year-old legacy, an eternal repetition that brings a sense of stability to the world. I want you to visualize the precision of this base 60 system. The number 60 is a truly magical number here. It is divisible by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 15, 20, and 30. This flexibility allowed the ancients to divide time and space smoothly, without chaotic remnants. When you observe the round clock on the wall, you are looking at a circle of mindfulness drawn by the Sumerians. Every passing second is a small footstep of history, a confirmation of the true order. Everything is still operating on its correct trajectory. Let your mind drift with the rhythmic rotation of the clock hands. It does not hurry, it does not delay, it is simply the presence of order. This regularity has a way of soothing the nervous system, helping you realize that time is not an enemy, but a safe structural frame protecting you right now. The legacy of order also extends to the sky with the 12-month calendar system. The Sumerians and later the Babylonians observed the 12 cycles of the moon to divide a year into balanced parts. They taught us how to predict the harvest, how to prepare for winter, and how to look forward to spring. Understanding these cycles gives us a sense of mastery. When everything has a cycle, the fear of the unknown dissipates. Imagine the transition of the 4 seasons as a slow symphony. After the cold of winter, there is always the warmth of spring. After the darkness of a long night, there is always the light of dawn. This rhythm is a grand sedative for an anxious soul. Finally, order is reinforced by ancient law. Before the famous Code of Hammurabi, the Sumerians had the Code of Ur-Nammu. These were humanity's first efforts to replace the chaos of violence with the fairness of defined statutes. Law creates invisible but sturdy boundaries for human behavior. It tells you what is right, what is wrong, and what you can rely upon. When law is present, it is predictable. Predictability is the foundation of peace. Feel the safety of knowing you live in a world of rules, where all your rights and your peace are protected by principles refined over millennia. The sensation of an ordered world is seeping deep into your sleep. You do not need to worry about where time will flow or whether tomorrow's world will remain stable. The Sumerian timekeeping system and the laws of our ancestors have created a solid pedestal for our lives. Let your mind go completely limp within this perfect structure. The ticking clock and the rhythm of the seasons are lulling you, reminding you that everything is happening exactly as designed. Now allow yourself to rest within the embrace of order. The numbers have been measured, the boundaries established, and time is flowing gently to carry you into sleep. You no longer need to shoulder the responsibility of maintaining the world. The legacy of the Watchers is doing it for you. Let your breath synchronize with the rhythm of 60 seconds, 60 minutes, slow and serene. The world is operating well. The world is fine, and you have the right to sleep in the absolute reassurance that order will always be there when you wake. The sound of the clock gradually fades, giving way to absolute silence as we conclude our journey. All numbers and laws ultimately lead us to a single point, a total letting go to find peace. Now our journey has reached its end. I invite you to feel the absolute silence enveloping the space around you. We have traveled a long way together, from the first mud bricks at the 17th layer of Eridu, through the primordial waters of the Abgallu, to the sophisticated mathematical calculations of the Anunnaki gods. We have seen knowledge preserved through the flood and time shaped by numbers. All of these stories, all of this legacy are now crystallizing into a steadfast peace, guarding your sleep tonight. We are living in the age we call modernity. If prehistory taught us patience, antiquity taught us the value of legacy, the Middle Ages taught the laws of ebb and flow, and the modern era taught balance, then this age brings you the silence. In a world that is constantly moving and filled with complex information, silence is the final legacy that the Watchers wish to pass on to you. It is not an emptiness, but a state of fullness of the soul, where you no longer have to try to understand, to resolve, or to control anything anymore. Listen to your own breath, slow and gentle. Rest is coming now. Perhaps the deepest purpose of history is not for us to remember every event, but for us to realize that we are standing on the shoulders of giants, those who spent millennia establishing a safe order for humanity. Every planetary governance system, every Duppi Simati tablet, and every celestial cycle was created so that this world could operate on its own. Within that perfect operation, there is a place reserved just for you, a place of unconditional rest. I want you to remember this final message before sinking completely into the dream world. The world is vast and filled with mysteries far beyond our reach. There are plans of the gods that we have never fully read, and numbers that we have never finished. But that does not matter, because the truth is, you don't need to understand life in its entirety. Just allow yourself to rest. Your rest tonight is a sacred act, a way for you to connect with the legacy of silence that our ancestors laboriously built. When you sleep, you are merging into the eternal flow of cosmic order. Feel the warmth of the blanket now. Feel the softness of the pillow and the gentle darkness lulling your eyes. Every page of history is closed. The watchers have completed their watch, and now they are smiling as they watch you let go of your final cares. There is no more noise from the Ziggurat construction sites, no more scritch-scratch of the stylus on clay, and no more murmuring rivers. Only pure silence remains, a space that is empty yet filled with safety. You have done very well today. You have traveled this entire journey with me, and now it is time for you to enter the land of the most beautiful dreams on your own. Do not worry about tomorrow, for the order of the world has been established to welcome you with a brighter new dawn. For now, just let yourself drift away, as gentle as a leaf falling onto the Nile, lingering and peaceful. Thank you for being here, for allowing history to soothe your soul. I wish you a sleep that is deep, long, and truly complete. Good night, my friend. May the ancient silence of the stars guard your dreams until the sun rises. Peace be with you.